Okay, Sakura Haruno from Naruto. Oh, I should put some lo-fi music in the background. Not gonna front up front. Lo-fi beats would be kind of good for this situation. But yeah, Sakura Haruno is uh a character that has a lot of hate, but I understand where the hate's coming from. I don't know if it's overhated, but I do think it's an understood type of hate. And the reason is because of how she was written from literally start to finish. It's like Sakura could not catch a break. I'm telling you. The way Sakura was written was low key destined. She was low key destined for failure. I'm not gonna lie. Um Now you're talking about anime difference or and manga differences. You can talk about that. I don't know about the manga version. I do know about the anime version. But someone who likes writing and actually likes the character Sakura, um, we had a conversation about this, and we were like, why Sakura is so hated compared to Naruto and Sasuke, even though they all have just as many flaws. And the biggest issue is that she doesn't have trauma right away off the bat, and it makes her character suffer greatly. Um, the reason why she suffers greatly from it is because the trauma is literally what gets Naruto and Sasuke like on the same level of pedestal. Not only that, this is for shonen, right? Which is young boys, right? So you have a traumatic backstory for both Naruto and Sasuke, with both two cool powers. And let's just talk about part one for this scenario. Because, mind you, you can't be like, oh, part two, she's a lot better. Because you're gonna form your opinions based off of part one on Sakura. And then you're most likely not gonna change them, right? So part one Sakura. What does she contribute to the team? I'm waiting for y'all. She does very little things. She has a knack for genjutsu. She can dispel it, right? However, she doesn't really have any ways to really show that off. She uh, she has good chakra control. Again, she doesn't really have any good ways to show it off because she has two major fights in OG Naruto. That is the stand where she literally cuts off her hair, and the one where she fights against Ino. And the Ino fight just makes her look a lot worse, I'm not gonna lie. It really makes her very poorly written when you take the Ino fight into perspective, man. Um but let's take this frame by frame. Um you start off, she's already annoying because she likes Sasuke and is infatuated and is already hitting Naruto and X, Y, and Z because oh, how dare he come at my Sasuke. Then she makes fun of Naruto for being an orphan. And yeah, you could give the excuse, oh, she's just a kid, she don't know any better. And everyone else doing the same. Okay. But it's not coming off very well for her character to develop When that's literally how she acts for the first arc. She's like, "Oh, Naruto, you're so stupid. Oh, Naruto, like, why are you so annoying?" And then she's glazing Sasuke the whole time, right? Then let's take the Haku battle versus Zabuza. Yes, yeah, we ain't counting no movies because I don't think they're canon. So the Haku fight, um, the training, you know that she's good at chakra control and genjutsu, but in the actual fight, she doesn't do anything. And when she's like, oh, because she's looking at the village, she's like, maybe I should treat Naruto better. That goes off in a flick in an instant, right? She's she's a very um like, I'll protect you, this guy. She can't do nothing. She can't do nothing. Which is okay if other people were acting like that, but they kind of get rid of that. Like, she can't do anything. And it's just like, it would be cool if this was a different character, but because she is side by side with three actually, because Kakashi's there, with three characters that are showing off. So it just fails because she's like the girl. She is the girl that isn't contributing anything. So you have her do essentially nothing for the Haku fight, and then when the Haku fight's over, she's crying for Sasuke, doesn't really check up on Naruto, right? Then you have going to the tuning exam, and you meet Rock Lee. She's judging someone based off their face. It's like, ew, I can't. No, I love Sasuke, but so still hasn't learned anything about that. She's just like, he's gross, right? Still hasn't changed the way she's act towards Naruto. Um, but you learn she's smart. You do learn she's super smart because she's able to complete the first part of the tuning exam without cheating. However, that's not the objective of the tuning exam. The tuning exam for part one of the tuning exam is to not get caught. You're supposed to figure out how to cheat to retrieve information without getting caught, which is not something she could do. So she kind of fails in that aspect. But she does show off that she's smarter than the Gennings because she's able to do it without cheating. But if this was like an actual battle, that doesn't help her at all. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, oh yeah, that's cool. So she has that going on. But again, they don't use that to her advantage at all, really, in the forest, except for her Sakura moment. And we'll get back to that. So we're in the forest scene. We're in part two. We're in part two now of the tuning exam. She, Sasuke, Orochimaru, all that stuff happens. Still hasn't added anything to the fight. She can't contribute nothing, right? So she's the only one who hasn't contributed. Everyone else is getting their tushies whooped, mollywopped, and everything. So she has to take care of Naruto and Sasuke. And here's another pro. She's there for her allies when they're sick or, down for the count. She is gonna be there to protect them. And she does that. However, she can't do it by herself. She can't do it by herself. Is the biggest problem. So she has Lee fight for her, but Lee goes down for the count because the sound. So then she fights and does her fighting where she still doesn't utilize her abilities that much, but she does her fighting. And then you have the haircut scene, which in Japan symbolizes maturity. But I mean, it doesn't really symbolize anything over here sometimes, so that could be lost in translation. So it may or may not make sense depending on who's watching. But but you can see that the point of her character is that she's supposed to develop trauma along the way instead of having trauma right away. But it doesn't work for this shonen type of character that these characters are establishing, right? If she was a side character, it worked, but for the main characters, that all these characters are having Kakashi, Naruto, like all these characters are having trauma, and then Sakura's just like a yeah, my trauma is actually being a ninja. Um, and then the battle she still can't even do by herself. She has, she could chill help her. I think Neji and Tenten had a low key step in, and then Sasuke too. Like, she couldn't do that fight by herself either. So she still hasn't done anything by herself. She can't prove herself. Like, she literally can't do anything by herself, which is one of the biggest things. It's just like she's weak. She's very weak. It is okay to be weak, but then you get to the preliminary rounds of the tuning exams, and this is where it messes up her character so much. And some people be like, oh no, this is great for her. So the battle between her and Ino, we learn Sakura and Ino were friends, but Sakura decided it was her Sakura who decided to not be friends with Ino because she likes Sasuke, so she was willing to abandon her friend for a dude. This is the main female protagonist of the story. She ditched her friend for a dude. Her best friend, who it showed a better life for Ino than it did for Sakura, right? She ditched her friend for a dude. And during the battle and whatnot, she's making fun of Ino for being, she's like, well, I've been training and stuff. You've been slacking off and trying to look pretty when literally Sakura's been doing the same stinking thing. It was just like, she has too much confidence. I am serious. I am straight up serious. Because I had rewatched the show multiple times, and I remember being so baffled by this plot. You could go back and watch the dub, or read the manga, and she says, "So I heard you also like Sasuke. I guess that means we can no longer be friends." And it's like, what? And Ino's the one that if you see the scenes, the tuning exam scenes, you can see Ino's the one who's contemplating the whole time. Ino's the one who's like trying to figure out if she should really help Sakura because Sakura's the one who ditched her. And it makes Ino look in such a better light than Sakura. And a lot of people be like, well, Sakura was like just a kid or whatnot. But it just makes her look like such a horrible female protagonist. It's just like, yeah, you can have flaws, but like, you have Naruto who everyone abandons, yet he will still fight for you. Sasuke, who is just level-headed and whatnot, and fights for you anyways because that's just the shinobi way. And then you have Sakura, who's being petty, like, oh, we like the same guy, we can't be friends. Like, and it feels very, very icky. So I was just like, dang, Sakura, that is very sad. That's very sad writing. And so, and then they make up, which is why a lot of people don't know that part. It's like, oh, well, they made up, so it's not that big of a deal. But it's just like, oh no, damage is done in my head. She really did that. She really did that. Yes, yes. It is so sad. It is so sad. Because it's just like, She doesn't have any trauma. She abandoned her friend, and yeah, she gets the drama throughout the series, but she's weak. She's too confident for. She's basically egotistical. So it's just like a horrible female. Is how people see her instead of a horrible character. So so then you go, she's gone. She's gone essentially after that whole fight. She's just watching. And you wanna know what happens. No attention is done to her. She's not training. She's just left behind. She has no training done. She couldn't train alongside Naruto. She didn't have. There's nothing saying. Oh, what is she doing? Nothing. There's no thing saying that like, oh, I've been working on this. I've been doing that. No, she's just left done in the dust, man. Like the thing is, like when people compare her and Hinata, is just like you see the motivation with Hinata is Naruto, which is why she gets stronger and whatnot. And with Sakura, her motivation was Sasuke, but it's not because she wanted to be stronger. She just likes Sasuke. So 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 oh so I was like to the person I was like, personally, I thought it would have been better if Sakura lost the battle with Ino to realize that she could have done more during this arc and realize she's not as strong as she is, which could lead her to keep training during this because they didn't do anything with her story. So, which means Ino could have literally fought with Shino or someone and got demolished, and then realized, yeah, Sakura was not that much behind her. She just low key got lucky. But Ino and Sakura were quote unquote the same level, but Ino had the special ability. Sakura just has really good ninjutsu, genjutsu, whatever. I was just like, bruh, okay. So they reconcile. She has no agency. Naruto goes with Jiraiya. Sasuke will go with Kakashi. No one gives attention to Sakura. And you know what happens after that? So at one point, Naruto's in the hospital, and Ino and Sakura have a conversation, and Sakura is like getting flowers. I think it's for Sasuke. I can't remember all the information, but Ino is the one who's like, "Oh, I'm getting flowers for Lee or something like that," and Sakura's like, "Oh yeah, I should probably get flowers for like Naruto and Lee and X, Y, and Z." Like Ino is the one who's literally like thinking about other people, and it's just like, dang, Sakura, like is the only person you're caring about Sasuke. Like she literally has a one focused track mind on like Sasuke. Maybe she'll think about Naruto to be like, oh, to show some kind of conscience that she does have a conscience or whatever. But Ino has to low key remind Sakura every time something. And people say Ino's super obsessed with her looks and makes fun of Choji and whatnot. Which, she does have flaws too, but she's not a main character. So I could low key overlook it because there is more done with her character than all the time we had with Sakura. And there's so many flaws with the character that isn't built on. And we're only talking about part one, by the way. So, what happens after that? So, they decide the tuning exam matches happen. Naruto versus Neji. You know what Sakura is doing? She has that scowl, like, oh no, is Naruto going to win? She has no confidence in Naruto. She never um acknowledges really Naruto's skills or anything. She always just sees him as that weakling, right? And Ino's like, come on, he's your team, he's your ally. You should be cheering him up. Ino is still like, cheer up your comrade. That is what you're there for. You should be supporting your team. Which is like, bro, What are you doing, Sakura? What are you there for if you can't even cheer your team up? Like, why? It's just, it's like, why is Ino telling you this, right? So the other thing she gets to do is she gets to dispel the ninjutsu that's around her when that happens, and she dispels it for Naruto. Okay. So Kakashi decides, oh, they can't bring too many people because having a big squad is a hindrance. So having her, Naruto, and Shikamaru is enough. Even though they still could have brought someone like Choji, which Loki makes no sense because they had a 5-man squad for the Sasuke retrieval arc. Let's just put that out there. By the way, is that they could have literally brought Shino, or not Shino, Ino, or Choji. Not so much Ino because she couldn't really do so much there, but they could have brought Choji though. But let's just say that he wasn't gonna do much, right? So Sakura goes with Naruto for the Garo battle. What does she do? She gets used as a hostage. That's literally what she's there for. To be used as a hostage. She didn't really help. So there's that. She's a hostage again. Um so yeah, again, no contribution there. And then finally, her final contribution to part 1 is she finds Sasuke before she leaves. And she's like, I love you. I'll go with you. X, Y, and Z. She says a lot of stupid stuff. I don't even remember. She's just pouring her heart out to Sasuke. It's just like, how dare you try to leave? It's like, I love you, Sasuke. Mind you, they're like 12 or something. I'm just like, dang, this girl really chasing her. This man, I kind of couldn't. And he knocks her out. And you know what they tell her? She wakes up, and they tell her, you would only get in the way, so there's no point in you coming. So they just leave her because they knew she wouldn't contribute anything. They really just left her because they knew she wasn't going to contribute nothing. And then, you have all the filler. And then she's like, I gotta get stronger too. And then she trains under Tsunade. Now, I can't tell you about part 2 because part 2 is super hazy to me. But with part 1, I remember that clearly. Because I watched part 1 more than part 2. But I was just like, Sakura just has horrible development. Like, and if it takes you one whole part just to get her to start training and even build up her character, it's like, what the third? Because I know Jujutsu Kaze has the opposite effect where all the female characters are built up amazing and then they fall off towards the end. But Sakura just has that effect where she was just done dirty. I'm sorry, she was just done dirty. Like, there's no way to look at it. Yes, Sakura could be your favorite character. I have no hate if you like Sakura. I used to be a Sakura hater though. I was like, I have no reason how you like Sakura over Hinata. But I mean, some people just, I just like her personality. I couldn't stand her tsundere stuff, but then I realized that was mostly filler. But no, Sakura is just poorly written. Honestly, it's just it just doesn't help. Like, listen, honestly, if you gave her the Hinata backstory and the Hinata powers to Sakura, it probably would have made it a bit more understandable, her personality. But because she doesn't have that, because that's meant for Hinata, it makes sense. She can do nothing because she easily gets killed by one of the sound force from. Yeah, I know she can do nothing, which is why she's not in the retreat. That's what they said. She's only gonna get in the way, which is why she's not in the missions. It's just like, it's basically they know she's gonna be like a hostage essentially. It's like she's fodder. She's like, it's useless. Like, think about it. They literally are telling her, You're more dead weight being with us. Like, it's better to have you farther away from us than to have another ally come to us. That's essentially what they're saying. Like, imagine if Shino was there, right? They would have been like, dang, having Shino would have been gas. They would have been like, oh my goodness, we got Shino in here. Shino's kind of gas, my dude. Like, bro can just literally get his bugs out here. Bam, that's right. But they're saying she could contribute nothing. She can't do nothing. So it's just like that. Because mind you, with any of the other girls, they never saw the girls, so they didn't even try looking for the girls. They're, Shikamaru picked Choji because of his bond. He had to pick Naruto, and then he happened to walk into Kiba and Neji. That's how the squad was formed. But when they saw Sakura, they're like, Sakura, you can't come. And that's why Sakura is such a frustrating character. It's just like there was stuff that could be done to make it where her traits could have been like, oh, she may be smart, she may have all the talents of a ninja, but because she is only book smart and not actually like talented, um it's actually like not that ideal. So, and it's something she could have learned and be like, oh dang, I'm actually low-key a hindrance. But it's not. That's not how it's worded or phrased. It's just like, oh dang, no, fight with I got stronger. Yeah, yeah. No, and it's not like Kakashi gave her attention. No one gave her attention until Tsunade came, and that's after part one. That's during the time in between the time skip, and that's the biggest problem with Sakura. It's just like there was no attention to her, even during the story, and the attention she got only made her look worse, man. But yeah, what are y'all's thoughts about Sakura? Write it down in the comment below. Do you agree or disagree?